We're in the book of Leviticus here. We're wrapping up. We finished up our series, the whole Bible. Started at the book of Genesis, worked our way down to Exodus, and now we're in the book of Leviticus. Coming out of Exodus, God had retrieved or recovered his people from Egypt, took them to the Mount of Sinai. And the Mount of Sinai, he gave them instruction about how he wanted to proceed. One of the first things that God did was told them to build a temple or church or a place so that they can come and commune with God or offer sacrifice with God. So that was the first order of the business. Gave Moses instruction. They got together. They built the curtains and the slats and the tacks and the nails or whatever they need for this church, and they put it together. After putting this church together, God began to show them the function of the church, what the priest should do, how he should do it, and he began to teach them the three different sacrifices that needed to be performed when they sinned and when they messed up. And there was two other sacrifice, a sacrifice of when you make a vow sacrifice to God, or just a volunteer sacrifice. If you just want to bless God with something, it was allowed. Okay, and so Moses demonstrated first, then Aaron learned to do it, and Aaron began to teach his kids. And now we're moving on to chapter 11. Okay, so that's all that happened between the first part on down to now. So in chapter 11, you're going to see the dynamic of this going to what change. And so it's going to go from the sacrifice of church function unto the beast. And so here's the title. These are the beasts which ye shall what eat. Now God gave them what he wanted in the church, how he wanted his church is. And the first thing he did after the church, he dealt with a diet. And so that's where we are tonight. And so let's go into the word of God and see it. Leviticus 11 here. The first verse, it is 47 verses in here. Pretty long chapter here, but we're going to get down to it. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, said unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts upon the earth. Now, God did not allow them to eat every beast among the earth. Now, listen how he did this here. Whatsoever part of the hoof, meaning it had to be a split in the hoof, or it is closed footed, okay, and choose the what could. Among the beasts you should eat. Now, listen to how he put this here. He gave three descriptions. They got to be, they have to part the hook and it's closed footing, okay. So that means that split in the foot kind of clove out, and they have to eat the crud. Now, what's the crud? The crud is the grass or the duff or the herbs of the earth. Look at this here. Now these beasts, among them you should what eat. Okay. Nevertheless, thou shalt not eat of them that choose the what could, and of them that divided the hoof, as the what camel. Now, not every beast that ate herbs and that divided the hoof was they couldn't eat. Now he's going to be very specific of what he does as the camel, because he chose the cud but divided not the hook. See, so now just because they ate the herb, he didn't divide the hook, so they couldn't eat the camel, which he is unclean unto what you. Now I don't know why God was specific about that hoof being closed, but God knows more than what we know. Why? He is dealing with them about this is kind of sort of a health restoration that God has given them. I only want you to eat this and that. And that's always a reason when Christ tells you to eat something that he didn't. And the corny, because he chose the curb. In other words, he eat the herbs or the grass of the earth, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you. And the hair. Now, what's the hair? The hair is a what? Rabbit. Because he chose the cruelty. And they do. But divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you. So Israel was not even allowed to eat the what? Rabbits. And the what? Swine. Though he divides the hoof, the hog, and be what? Clove footed, yet he choose not the what? Crud. He don't eat the grass. See, eat in the mud and all the other thing. He is unclean unto what you. For their flesh shall ye not what eat, and their carcass shall ye not what touch. They are unclean unto what you. See? Now, it was the swine, it was the carney, it's the hare, it's the camel. those beef, though they fit some of the descriptions of God, they was not able to eat. The hog, he didn't eat the herbs. They don't. They don't even have veins. You can't even poison them. So they can eat poison. And if you eat the poison, eat the hog that ate the poison will kill you. So you see, God was trying to keep them safe. So there's certain things that he didn't want to eat. Again, that's the camel, that's the kearney, that's the hare, that's the swine, and he said he didn't want them to eat that. So I'm gonna leave it like that. For the flesh thereof ye should not eat, and the carcass ye should not what touch. They are unclean of you. These shall ye eat of all that is in the what water. Now he dealt with the earth. Now he's going to talk about the water. Now here's how he put: whatsoever have fins and scales in the water, in the sea, in the what river, them shall you eat. Now they had to have fins and scales. Okay, them we can what eat. Okay, and all that have not fins or scale in the what sea or in the what river, and all that moved in the what water, and of any living thing that which is in the water, they shall be abomination unto you. They shall be even a abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their what flesh, but ye shall have uh, their carcass their carcass in abominable. Okay, whatsoever have not fins or scales in the water, that that, that shall be an abomination to you. So they had to have fins nor scales, fins and scales for them to be edible. Okay, so it doesn't matter how we look at it today. From the start, that's what God wanted. And imagine if something was wrong with the fishes that uh, way, um, then this probably ain't no good or better today. I just want to say it like that, okay? Because oh, God did that for Israel. No, this is how God started it. If it was a problem with the hog, if it was a problem with everything, then it's a problem now. Okay? He was trying to keep them with health. Because understand, Israel lived in the desert. They didn't have the society that we have. They didn't have clean water or access to water like we have. They purify stuff, put chemicals and stuff. They didn't. So certain things God had them to do to be what? Safe. Okay? And these are they which you shall have in abundance among the what fowls. Now, if they had fins and scales, we could have them in abundance. If they didn't, for the fish, you couldn't mess with. Okay, so let's look at this here. These are they which you shall have in abundance among the fowls. They shall not be what eaten. They are abomination. Okay. And abomination among okay. These are they which shall have an abomination among the what fowl. They shall not be eaten, for they are a what abomination. The eagle, the osprey, the eagle, the osprey, okay, the vulture, and the kite of its what kind, and every raven of its kind, the owl, the night hawk, the cuckoo, and the hawk of after its kind, the little owl, the como, I don't know how to say that, the great owl, the swan, the pelicans, and the guar eagle, and the stork, the heron after its kind, the limp wing, and the what bat. Now, all those animals we shouldn't eat. And all these animals mostly have one thing, and the birds have one thing in common. All of those birds are meat eaters. They are carnivores. They eat rodents, rats, herons, rabbits, things like that. And each one of them you look at, he don't want you to eat them. Okay? Now all the fowl that creepeth upon all four shall be abomination unto what you. So God is letting us know, if you see the same thing with the animals that he wants us to eat, they ate grass in abundance. The cow, I don't know The Bible never said anything much about a cow. It talked more about an ox. So I don't know if a cow is a breed between two animals, but you had oxen and things like that in the Bible. I never really heard them mention a cow per se, or as we know them today. But anyway, what I'm saying to you, all these animals back then that Jesus mentioned, okay, they all was vegetarians in a way. They all ate grass. You know, the eagle and stuff like that, they didn't. Most birds you see, they eat berries and things like that. You don't see many small birds really going after um, things like maybe a worm or something like that, but you don't see them um, going after the hair or all the things that God made abominable like them. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Let these may yet these may ye eat among the flying, a creeping thing that goes upon all what four, which have what legs above the what sea. Okay, the leopard withered upon the what earth that leapeth withered unto the what earth. Even these things ye may what eat. The locust after its kind, the ball locust after its kind, the beetle after its kind, or the grasshopper after its kind. And notice here, each one of these bugs, locusts, beetles, all of them are what? Vegetarian. See, you'll see this here. I did not know that or realize this to the day before I sat down to give this message. But all of the flying, creeping thing, uh, which have which have 4 feet, shall be abomination unto you. Why? Because a lot of these things are carnivores. Okay, for and of these things shall be what unclean. Whatsoever or whosoever, I'm sorry, touches the carcass of them shall be unclean, even until what evening. So God is laying it out, and I just was fascinated when I found out that most of the animals that He did allow man to eat, they was vegetarians, and the ones that was carnivores or things they wasn't, like the dolphins and all those, they rely on eating certain fish, and some of those fishes was harmful for us in the first place because He didn't want you to eat them. The sharks and all these other things that these people eat today, God never intended for that. It's more intended for those who eat the seaweeds and things like that. And I thought that was amazing. That blew my mind today. And whosoever uh, uh, whosoever beareth off the what carcass of them shall wash their what clothes, and be unclean until the what evening. Okay, so now even when they touch certain things that God didn't want them to touch, when an animal forsake dies or things like that, one of the reasons that God was so specific about them washing their hands and cleaning this, because diseases was easy to spread. So listen to what I'm saying to you. Just like the COVID thing, there's certain things that we should have done to keep ourselves safe. Why? Because God didn't want diseases spreading among them. Why? Because they was already into a world that they did not. He was trying to keep them healthy. Okay, and God understood. So He gave them certain rules so that they can follow. Don't eat this because I don't need that mess in your body. You know, don't brush up against it. If you brush up in it, sit around to the eating. Make sure you're okay and you can come back. Okay, the carcass of every beast which divideth the hoof and is not cloven foot, or choose the or blood, or unclean unto what you. Everyone that touches them shall be what unclean. Why? It was something about these animals that threaten people's health. You don't eat them, you don't touch them, because it may cause a health problem or health outbreak. I like how God put this. And whatsoever goes upon his what Paul among all manner of what beasts that goes up on all four. That's like the leopard, the lion, things like that. And you notice all these ones that go up on Paul, they are meat eaters, they are carnivore. These are unclean unto you, and whosoever touches the carcass shall be what unclean even until the what evening. So you see, the beasts, the birds, the fish, those things that was not great carnivores that requires eat seaweeds and things like that, those are the things that He wants us to eat. And like I said, it blew my mind to see this day. And he that bears the carcass of them shall what wash their what clothes and be unclean until the what eaten, for they are unclean unto what you. Why? Because he was trying to keep everybody safe. See, oh, these also shall be what unclean unto you, the creepeth thing that creepeth upon the what earth. Okay, the what's this? This is the walrus, the mouse, the tortoise. Oh, the turtle after his kind. Wow, I didn't even get there right there. I don't know the other words, but you can see it here. The calamari, the lizard, the snail, the mole. These are unclean unto what you among all the creeping things. Who whosoever does touch them, when they be what dead, they're unclean unto you. So we don't supposed to be eating no mouse, the lizard, um, all these wonderful things that he said here. Why? Again, you see these animals, you know. Wow, I'm just blown away by the turtles because, boy, I tell you, they eat a lot of uh, uh, turtles in the world today. But anyway, nevertheless, that's what the Bible says. Let's go with it. And unto whosoever of any of them, and upon whosoever any of them, when they are what dead, even if we come upon them dead, do fall, it shall be what unclean, and whether it be any vessel of what wood, raiment, or what skin, or what snack, whatsoever vessel it be, therein any work is what done, it it must be put unto what water, and it shall be what unclean until the what evening, so it shall be what unclean. And so in other words, all he's doing is he gave them what they want to eat, and he's trying to keep them healthy. So imagine if one of these animals that he considers to be unclean die, right? Okay, and if we have any interaction with them, again, this is more so to protect the nation. So if you were unclean, he will separate you for a day, and then you can come back into the herd. So what he's doing now, and I want you to see this. I'm gonna spend a lot of time talking about this because what he's doing now, he's trying to keep the whole group safe and healthy. See, the same way we went through this thing about a COVID, and so it was reasonable that the world wanted to stop the spread of COVID. Now, whether you want the vaccine or not makes no difference because the vaccine necessarily didn't kill COVID, and God had already blessed us with herbs and things to help us. I didn't care how you do it either way because I understood this part of Leviticus. That is a health reservation going on here, and God is trying to stop and prevent the spread of a major outbreak of things like this. It's going to be the same thing with the leprosy. It's going to be the same thing with that. Why? Because if that leprosy is on animal skin and it touches your skin, then it's transferred to you. The same way we transfer a lot of viruses and things today. And so God would say, if you're sick, separate yourself, go to an evening. You usually have to go to the priest, and the priest used to have to say, well, okay, you can come back. Because if you were still sick when the priest saw you, no, you can't come back. So that's all that he's doing here. And I like to really, in this part of the chapter, bring that home so that you can understand that God wants us to be healthy and he do things to make us healthy. So even if a rat or something fall into a cook pot, you need to wash it with water and you need to set it out in the sun or whatever, you know, until the evening. So Jesus is very specific, okay? And every earthly vessel, were into any uh, of them what fall. See, that's what I'm saying. Whatsoever is in it shall be what unclean, and ye shall what break it. Why? Because, hey, you don't know why he died. You don't know what happened. Some of these animals eat things that they shouldn't, and bada bing, bada boom. Okay, there's it. Okay, of all the meat, which may be what eaten. Okay, that's what he's saying. That on which shall water come shall be what unclean, and all drink that may be in uh, drunk in every such vessel shall be what unclean. So what he's saying is that, let's say one of the dead animals fall up on a plate, okay, And if you got meat up on it, it's unclean. You kind of pretty much have to throw it away, right? Because again, he's trying to stop spreads of outbreaks of certain things. This is why it's unclean to you, because if you eat it, you'll cause a health crisis. I think it's brilliant how God is doing this. Okay, and everything whereupon any part of the carcass fall shall be what unclean. So if it's anything where these animals fall, he would just make them get rid of it, whether it be oven or a range for a what pot. They shall be what broken down, and they are unclean, and shall be what unclean unto what you. And nevertheless, a fountain or a what pit, wherein there is plenty of water, shall be what clean, right? Because water purifies things. But that which touch the carcass shall be what unclean. Okay, and if any part of their carcass shall fall unto any sown seed, or any seed that you get ready to put in the ground, which it is to be what sown, it is what unclean. So if these dead animals touch food that you're getting ready to grow, it's unclean. Why? Because when plants have ability, right, to pull from its surrounding. So even if you put poison in the ground, such as pesticide, that plant will draw that poison in, because that plant has the ability to draw minerals like iron, gold into it. It so also has the ability to draw everything around it. So if a dead infected animal fall upon that seed and you plant it, chances are that plant become infected. So here's what it said. But if any water be put up on the seed, of any part there a carcass fall upon it, it shall be unclean unto you. Why? Because the seed has the ability to draw things upon them. If any beast of which ye may what eat die. Okay? So in other words, if an animal just died, you don't know why he died, he that what touches the carcass thereof shall be what unclean until the what evening. Okay, because you got to move the beast out the field or out from around everything. So in other words, if you touch it, he consider you unclean, and I got to separate you for a while. Why? That beast died for a reason. And he that what eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his what clothes, and shall be unclean until the what evening. He also shall bear the carcass of it, wash his what clothes. In other words, even when you kill an animal, even when you slay an animal, even when you do all these things, you have to separate yourself until the what evening. Okay, it and be unclean until the what evening. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be a abomination. It shall be not eaten. Again, he didn't want them eating certain things. Why? Because it will cause health problems. Whatsoever goes upon the belly, and whatsoever goes upon all fours, and whatsoever hath more feet among all the creeping things that creepeth on the earth, them shall be not, ye shall not what eat, for they are a abomination to you, like the spiders, the caterpillars, and all these other things that people are eating and indulging in this day. God saying that they shall be what unclean unto you. You shall not make yourself abominable abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth. Neither shall ye make yourself unclean with them, that ye shall be defiled thereof. I am the Lord thou art God, and whose Lord Jesus is talking. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourself, and ye shall be what holy, for I am what holy. Neither shall ye defile yourself with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth up on the earth. Again, for I am the Lord that brings ye out of the land of what Egypt, to be your what God. Now this is what Jesus said. I brought you out the land of Egypt to be your God. Now this is how Jesus put that, man. I love it when he put stuff like that. And ye shall therefore be what holy, for I am what holy. So Jesus is just landing on the line. He's put it on here. And so I hope you understand what he's trying to do is contain certain diseases in by having them practice search practice. If you go out and you slay an animal to eat, okay, because you dealt with the blood of that animal, and that animal is cut, to keep down infections and things like that. Wash yourself, wash your clothes, separate yourself into eating it, and then you can come back. I love how he did that. He was just trying to keep them safe. This is the law of the what beast, and of the fowls, and of the living creatures that move within the water, and of every creeping thing that creepeth up on the earth, to make a difference between clean, unclean, and clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be what eaten. And so Jesus is making a difference between them. He's giving them what he wanted them to do. And primarily, this is more to keep them what safe. All right, that is the book. That's Leviticus 11. So 12 only got 8 verses, so we can finish this up here. And you'll see how God dealt with this here. And he's going to go into women's and having babies and right. And again, these rules was put in place to keep them healthy or to keep the spread of diseases away, because those peoples in the desert did not have some of the things that we have, nor the knowledge that we had today to take care of ourselves. Hey, they was a slave in slavery for over 400 years. Okay, so they didn't have all these slick things that we have today, and so this is why God is dealing with them. Okay, and the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed, in other words, and bear a what man child." So she conceived seed. Okay. Now, to conceive something, meaning simply is to receive it from someone else. So if she get pregnant, and if there's when she have this baby, born a male child, she shall be unclean 7 days. And so God wanted her after she have this baby to separate herself 7 days, according to the days of separation for her infirmities she shall be what unclean. Nobody had to come touch this woman, mess with this woman after she done had this baby and all this other kind of stuff. She blood has been shedded. So God is separating again. You can see and understand he's doing all this here because in many hospitals, one of the first things they worry about more is infection, spread of infection, because it's so volatile and so dangerous. So God separated for 7 days. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his what foreskin, that's the son that she born, shall be what circumcised. And so she separated herself for 7 days, and on the 8th day, they go in, the child is fine, the mother is fine, they circumcise the baby. Okay, this is what he wanted. And she shall then continue in the blood of her purification 30 days, and she shall touch no hollow thing or come into the what sanctuary. So after the 8th day, the separation, she's going to continue for 30 more days, and God don't want her to come into the church or nowhere until the days of purification is what fulfilled. And so what that would be like 38 days in all that God keep us separated here. Okay, now that's the male child. So let's look at here. But if she bear a what maid child, and I think the maid child would be a daughter. All right, yeah, I just think it would be a daughter. And I don't in the world back then, you understand that the man was whatever, the daughter was made to be a servant to the man, and I think that's why it say a maid child. Okay, I think this should be a female. So if she had a daughter, I'm gonna put it like that, then she shall be what unclean 2 weeks. In her was separation. Okay, the male child was what 7 days, the female child was 2 weeks, and she shall continue in the blood of her purification for what 30 and 6 days. So she had 2 weeks, and then she had to be there for 30 some more days to wrap that up. That means the husband, nobody can come mess with that woman, come into that woman anything until those days fulfilled, because then they would have been unclean. And when the days of purification is fulfilled, for her son or for her daughter, see, I told you, she shall bring a what lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a pigeon, a young pigeon, or a what turtle dove for a what sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle of congregation, unto the what priest. So she's gonna come and lay it at the door, and they're gonna make an offering. Who shall what offer it before the what Lord? Okay, to make atonement for what her, and she shall be clean from the issue of what or her what blood. Okay, this is the law of her which have born a male or a what female. So that maid just a daughter. That's what that meant. Okay. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, okay, here's what he done. Then she should bring two turtle dove or two young pigeons, okay, the one for a what burnt offering and the other for a what sin offering, okay, and it and the priest shall what make atonement for the what for her, and she shall be what clean. And that is where we at tonight, Leviticus 11 and 12. And that's pretty much what I got out of it. And so you see God come in after he got the church done, after all the sacrifice and stuff got done. Remember, when the priest was doing all the killing, they had to wash their hands and stuff in the church. He had a later, he had a place for them to wash their hands and do and to take care of things there. Okay, and now you come here and he's dealing with them. Okay, I want you to eat this. I don't want you to eat that. When God tell you not to do something, there's always a reason. There's always a reason. There's always a reason why you should do what do what God say not to do. You should always listen to him. Why? Because God know all things we didn't. Eating some of these animals would cause a lot of health problems, health crises. How did I know that? Because even today, when we eat a lot of these animals and stuff like that, we have major health problems. And so, what he was trying to do is stop the spread of diseases. You're going to see this when we get on down, and he's going to separate things, separate this from clean to unclean. That's what he's doing. So this is the early stage of it. He's going to deal with outbreaks of leopard. He's going to deal with all these things, and this is what needs to happen. Why? Because I got to separate you from everybody. Because if you had leprosy and you stayed in your house with your husband, they gonna get it, and then that spread of that would have been all out. The same thing with killing animals and things like that, because infections and things like that even this day, I know you guys understand it's easy to spread by the touch of hands and things like that. The coronavirus, hey, you can just breathe it in the air. So that's what he was trying to do with these rules. They're not just rules, they're rules because he was trying to keep them safe. Well, if you like what you hear tonight, you got to go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, that's LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Go to our live broadcast tab. Please select our Bible study selection. Click on it, become a part of our family. You give access to tons of videos and teaching like this as we go through the Bible, and also get an opportunity to go live like we are now to ask the pastor any question that you want so that your walk in God can be more pure, more good, and so that you can understand what the Word of God is saying. Again, you cannot follow God if you don't know who He is, what He's about, and what He wants you to do. May God bless each and every one of you tonight as we get ready to go live.